Hi, welcome to Bipolar Boxing Picks. This is Nick. We just got done watching UFC 286, Edwards versus Usman 3. Um, Man, it was a lot different than the first fight, but it was the same outcome. But Edwards was just better everywhere. He was better everywhere than Usman. He was way better in the striking. This fight did not touch the mat, and if it did, it touched the mat. I don't even know if you can give Usman those takedowns that he got. He might have scored three technical takedowns, but Edwards popped right up on every one of them. So they didn't mean anything in the judge's eyes. So that means he tried to just outstrike Leon Edwards for 5 rounds, and that didn't go too well for him. He tried a lot. He had a lot of takedown attempts that I feel like it looked like he was in deep on some of them. He just couldn't get his hands clasped, and Daniel Cormier kept pointing out that and it's a great strategy that every time he went for that double, when he went to wrap his hands around, Edwards would just grab one of his hands. Just get a hand, both your hands, 2-on-1 against one of his hands, and then he could never get around his way, so he couldn't make the double leg. And he never switched to. I think he switched to his single leg once he tried, and I think he got it. He dragged him right down to the ground. But it's just not a good game plan from Edward or from Usman. And even if he did have good game plan, like he wouldn't have been able to execute it. He just didn't look the same like the same fighter tonight. He looked shot. He looked 35 years old, which he is, and he just doesn't look like a top level fighter anymore. I mean, I wouldn't put him in there against anybody in the top five right now. I think he would lose against everybody in the top five. He's just he looked absolutely terrible tonight compared to what we're used to seeing. And a lot of that has to do with Edwards just having great takedown defense, which I didn't think his takedown defense was that great. We all knew his striking's phenomenal, and but that's the problem. Like the fight stayed on its feet, and it's the one issue that wrestlers have when they don't get their takedowns. They kind of fall in love with their striking. And another thing I wish I knew going into the fight, which I don't know how I missed this, but I don't know when Kamaru Usman started training with Trevor Whitman. And Trevor Whitman's one of my favorite trainers, but I don't think he should be training Kamaru Usman. I don't think Kamaru Usman should be trying to fall in love with his hands and staying up for 5 rounds against a guy like Leon Edwards. He should have a wrestling coach in there. I don't know why he. I'm pretty sure he trained at Killcliff his whole career. Like, why doesn't he have those guys in his corner? Why is Trevor Whitman giving him striking advice to a guy like Leon Edwards? Like, you throw the striking out the window and you just go for takedowns. You have to be able to take Leon Edwards down. You did it in the first fight. I don't see what the issue was, but I mean, maybe it was just Leon Edwards was just too good at his takedown defense, and Usman was worried about gassing, and that's another problem with wrestlers. When you don't get your takedowns, you're kind of forced to try them eventually because you're getting picked apart on the feet, which is what happened all night. I mean, Usman might have won a round. The third round, there was definitely a controversial fence grab that was. I still don't understand. I'm going to have to watch it again, but Usman had him up against the fence with his hands wrapped around him. He's about to take him down, and the fence grab happens. So Herb Dean stops the fight and takes the point away from Edwards for the fence grab, but then starts him back in the middle. And the announcers were saying, well, this is what happens after they take a point away. No, it's not. Not when the guy has him against the fence. You put him right back in that position. If it was the other way around and the guy going for the takedown grabbed the fence, you take the position away. But you don't take it away from the guy who had it. You at least have to put him standing against the fence with Usman in front of him. You have to. You can't start him in the middle like that. I mean, if I'm wrong about that, I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. I'm almost positive when they take a point away, if the guy whose advantage it went to, like, if he's in control, you give him that position back. You can't. If that's the fact, I mean, if it's the third round, the last round of a fight or whatever, and there's 45 seconds left, and again, just grab the fence and hold on to it, and then you'll at least get a breakup. Like, I don't understand those rules. I mean, I think that was just a judgment call by Herb Dean, but that has to be something that's in the rule books that you don't take that position away. You take the point away, and I understand you don't put him on the ground, but you at least leave him standing. I don't get that because I mean, I'm not going to go ahead and make that excuse for Usman, but if you wanted to make an excuse for Usman, you could say that that changed the fight because I actually did have it 1-1 going into that round, but I think Usman lost the rest of that round. He was doing very good in the first part of the round. He was about to get a takedown there, and the reason I say that could change the whole fight is you work on Edwards' gas tank and you get confidence because you actually took him down. I think he would have been able to hold Usman down once he got him down in that round. So he would have won that round, but he would have been better off without the point if they would have just gave him the position, in my opinion. So, but hindsight's 2020. You can't take anything away from Edwards. He won almost every minute of that fight. Every exchange, every striking exchange, he won. Even and Usman is just. I mean, this guy he's calling out like Canelo and stuff for boxing. I mean, get the hell out of here. His striking is pathetic. He leads with his left hook all the time. He stands squared up. You can't do that against a guy like Leon Edwards. You're gonna get picked apart. He got hit with a few knees, and I mean, it's just a terrible game plan. And like I said, I don't like the fact that Trevor Whitman's in that guy's corner. I mean, it just doesn't make sense for Usman to do anything with his striking. All that's going to do is hurt his game working on his strike. That's all it's going to do because it's going to take away from his wrestling, and he's going to try and fall in love with his hands. Like I said, he's been calling out boxers for Christ's sake, and his hands looked absolutely terrible tonight. So Usman is just not who he used to be. And hey, it could be that Edwards is that good because Edward is that good of a striker, and anybody who can't take him down to the ground is going to have problems with that guy for 5 rounds. So he's going to be a really tough guy to beat, and I don't know. I mean, maybe it'll be like Colby Covington next or something, but and that'll be interesting because at this point in their careers, I mean, I just like if you had Colby Covington fight Usman now, I would take Colby Covington all day. I mean, I just would after seeing that. So I think that's going to be Colby Covington's got a chance to beat Leon Edwards with the game plan that Usman should have had. He'll have the same game plan, but I think Colby Covington he might have better striking than what Usman showed tonight. I think he does have better striking, as bad as Colby Covington's striking is. He would just pose a bigger threat to Leon Edwards, and he would have more of a chance of dominating him on the ground, in my opinion. And I don't think he would change his game plan. He would go for those knockdowns or those takedowns until he got them, and he would try it for 5 rounds, or he would try it for at least the first 3 rounds. Even if he threw away the first 2 rounds and couldn't get him, I think he would still try for him because if you get 1 and 3, you're probably going to win rounds 3, 4, and 5, and gas him out. But that'll be a good fight when it comes up, and so I'm assuming that's what they're trying to make next. They had Colby Covington out there for the backup fighter. So I'm sure he's trying to get the UK fans to notice him because maybe they go back to the UK with Leon Edwards. That was a great environment today. The fights were good. It ended up being a good card, a lot better than I thought it would. I mean, the fight before that, let's go right to you had Gagey getting a decision over Fiziev. Yeah, I didn't do too well picking in this card, and I said it's just a weird card, but man, I picked against my boy Justin Gagey, and he screwed me. But I actually scored this fight for Fiziev, and I'm not a biased person. When I judge these fights, I judge them just the way there's a few fights on here where I picked in like the Marvin Vettori fight. I thought he lost to Dolidze, and I picked Vettori. I had a lot on him, but I thought he lost that fight. But this fight, I think Fiziev won the first and second round, and you're gonna hear me say this a lot on this channel, and just keep an eye on it. Whenever a fighter wins the first round clearly, and then the second round is somewhat close, but that guy who won the first round probably won the second round, they never give that guy that second round. And that's clearly what happened in this fight. They didn't give Fiziev that second round, which I think he won. I know the announcers were saying that it's 1-1 going into the third, but like they're not great at scoring fights, those guys. And I just think Fiziev won, but I knew what the judges were going to do. And it's because, it's this the freaking 3-round fight. Like, I get it. Like, you don't want the fight to be over after 2 rounds. You don't want a guy to be like, I'm up 2 rounds. I could just coach for this 3rd round. It makes for a boring fight, but I don't know. The MMA has to fix their judging And I'm not saying boxing doesn't have bad judging, but like we have a certain criteria to go by. So it's very easy to tell when there's corruption and when there's not. Here, I honestly don't think the judges know how to judge because there's no set criteria. You can favor, and it's kind of like boxing where you can favor certain things, but here in MMA, like one judge shouldn't favor like a takedown, or one judge should be judging more on that quote unquote damage, which I hate that word because Vittori's face got all jacked up from a headbutt that those judges I guarantee did not see. So the guy's gonna get marked up and stuff like that, but you don't judge it that way. You don't judge for damage. It makes no sense. I mean, just have a criteria to go by and just be consistent about it is all I ask. But that's one thing they are consistent about is, like I said, they know it's only a 3-round fight. They don't want to give poor Justin Gaethje, make him have to win by knockout because then they're like, well, what if he comes and he dominates the 3rd round? Well, that's the sport. He lost the first 2 rounds. Like, how about give Fiziev credit for actually winning those first 2 rounds? Don't take it away from him just because he won the 1st round and you want to see excitement happen in the 3rd round. That ain't fair. And I have a feeling they're not fixing it because it makes for more exciting fights. All these fighters that are getting this wasn't a robbery or anything like that, but fighters get robbed and stuff like that. They start thinking, hey, I can't leave it to the judges because that's exactly what Dana White says whenever he's asked about the judging and everything. Dana says, don't leave it to the judges. I keep telling all these fighters, and he says it every single time, and he refuses to address it. So it is what it is. But Justin Gaethje, like if that was under the one championship rules where they just judge the fight as a whole, which I actually like that judging. I don't know how well it would do in the whole sport of MMA, but it's something different, and I do kind of like scoring the whole fight because a fight like that, Justin Gaethje definitely wins that fight if it's like that. But he won it anyways, and like I said, not a terrible decision. It's just the way I scored it, but Gaethje definitely deserved the win, and like it was a brawl for at times. But to be honest, like the fight actually was underwhelming, as good of a fight as it was, just because man, I thought Fiziev was gonna have more of that killer instinct in him, and he must have got rocked with a few of those leg kicks. Gaethje hit him with those freaking signature leg kicks of his, and he hit him with one early, really bad, and I think Fiziev like he felt that, and he just didn't put his foot on the gas as much as I'd like to see. But I think he still employed him for those first 2 rounds. But Gaethje definitely turned it on in the 3rd round. After getting rocked in the first minute or so, he came back, and the last 4 minutes or so were all his. I think one judge gave him a 10-8 in that round, which I don't agree with. But Gaethje definitely hurt him in that round. Like not to finish him or anything like that, but Fiziev's face was all bloodied up, and good win for Gaethje. I'm sure but this is a setback for the 155-pound division because I don't know what you do now that Gaethje won. To be honest, I think the UFC was kind of hoping he would lose, and because now what do you do with Fiziev? I mean, Fiziev, man, you could have put him right in the mix after this. Now, like, I don't know how fast they want to throw Gaethje back into the mix. So I just don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, hopefully they'll give Gaethje like the winner of Chandler McGregor. I think that'd be a great fight to have. But shout out to Justin Gaethje. He's one of my favorite fighters of all time. And then we had Gunnar Nelson versus Brian Barberena. Gunnar Nelson gets a submission very late in the 1st round. He actually had Barberena mounted at one point in full mount, and he transitioned to an armbar from there and just took his arm right at the end of the fight. But or at the end of the round, at end of the 1st round, there couldn't have been more than like 10, 15 seconds left. But it was a good win for Gunnar Nelson. He looked shaky on the feet. It's weird. Like I didn't notice that Gunnar Nelson has a Stephen Thompson stand-up like style. It's just because I know the guy's a grappler. I know his hands are not good at all. It's weird that he has that karate stance. It's a very wide stance, very wide base with his legs. You just don't see it a lot in MMA. But if you do see it, it's usually by like top level strikers. So, but it worked for him here because that's how he was able to get inside. Like he kind of just hopped forward with that wide base. He kind of just hopped forward with that knee, and all it took was like 2 steps to get in close to him. And once he did that, Barberena backed up against the fence, and that's how he got taken down. And then it was just game over from there. But on the feet, Barberena couldn't do much, but he was winning the fight on the feet. But as soon as Gunnar Nelson got to the ground, it was just game over from there. Barberena tried to scramble a few times, but Nelson was right there, and that was a big win by Gunnar Nelson. He definitely needed that, and he didn't seem too like excited after the fight. He kind of just talked about his coaching a lot and stuff like that. But as far as like where he's gonna go, he just said, "I'm gonna get back, coach my guys and stuff." So I don't know what's coming up for him, and he's getting up there in age. So UFC needs to figure out what they're going to do with him. But this is a good win just to get him back on the win track. But I mean, it just goes to show you like how I mean Barberena is just he's good everywhere. He's not great anywhere. So if you come in and implement your game plan on that guy, whether it be striking, wrestling, or jiu-jitsu, if you can get your game plan done, like he's not going to be able to counteract it because you're so much better than him at that. So big win by Gunnar Nelson. And fight before that, we had just another one that I was wrong on. Casey O'Neill and Jennifer Maia. Jennifer Maia smoked her. I mean, I want to say it was 30-27. Yeah, 30-27 on all cards, I think. And just an easy 3-round decision for her. And Casey O'Neill, like, what the hell was that game plan? Like, she's trying to strike with Jennifer Maia. That's Maia's only way to win. I could have swore that Casey O'Neill had some takedowns in her. I mean, she trains at Extreme Couture and she trains her jiu-jitsu at 10th Planet. So I know she's got a good ground game. Like, why aren't you taking Jennifer Maia to the ground? I don't. She didn't even attempt takedowns when she was losing the stand up the whole fight, and she was losing at bat. She was getting tagged in the face since the opening bell, and she didn't switch up her game plan. She just thought that she could sit there and strike. Like it wasn't even like kickboxing; it was straight up boxing, and she got smoked. Which, yeah, that's what I thought. What if I would have known that was her game plan? I wouldn't have taken her. But I mean, man, I was way off on Casey O'Neill's abilities. She's not that good of a fighter. Her head. I mean, there's not a lot of women MMA fighters that have good head movement, but God, hers is terrible. Her and the girl who fought on the first fight of this card, Miller. I guess they said she was an Ultimate Fighter winner. Man, her head movement stinks, and she's a really bad fighter too. But this Casey O'Neill girl, we just found out. I mean, and this was a girl like they were probably looking to fast track this girl. Like, I mean, this is a major setback because of how bad she looked. I mean, it's not just the fact that you lost to Jennifer Maia, who fought for a title a couple of years ago, but it's the way you lost to her. She didn't look good at all. Like I said, I don't know why she just tried to stand up. I don't think she attempted one takedown. If she did, it was some half-assed thing where she was just too tired of getting pieced up. But it was just a bad game plan all the way around, and but a good win for Jennifer Maia because if she doesn't win that, she falls way down in the ranking. So she's still up there with everybody else, and now that you got Grasso up there as champ, girls like Maia, like all those girls, Joanne Calderwood won earlier today. She was buried on the prelims, but Calderwood won. Like she ain't that far away. None of those girls are that far away. Depending on what Shevchenko does. I mean, if she goes back and takes her belt back, that's one thing. But with Grasso as champ, I mean that's wide open. Like Jennifer Maia is definitely good enough to beat Grasso. I mean, she could be a freaking champ in the next year or so. But man, Casey O'Neill, just what a letdown there. What a letdown. She looked bad. And then before that, we had Marvin Vettori and Roman Dolidze. Like I said, I thought Dolidze won this fight, and I thought he won it on the feet. This fight didn't touch the ground, as I didn't think it would. But I thought Vettori's hands were going to be too much for him. This is another one. Like I'm not saying it was a robbery. It was a very close fight. I'm not going to argue either way. But I did score it for Dolidze. And but it was definitely a back and forth fight where Vettori's landing the cleaner shots, and I would imagine he landed more of them if you look at the copy box. But it's just Delite actually like he was looking a little bit too much for the one punch knockout, and I think that might have cost him a little bit because Vittori was piecing him up at times with his speed, but Delite did not take a step back that whole fight. And there was plenty of times where there was one time where Delite hit him with, I want to say, four right hooks in a row. And it was just the weirdest thing because Vittori was like, he was backing up the whole time. Usually Vittori is a guy, he stands in the pocket and he throws with you, which I thought would have been a great idea in this fight because I know Delite has power, but when you're a guy like Vittori who's a lot quicker, when he throws and misses his first punch, that's when you start throwing. You rattle off a 3-punch combination because first of all he's slower than you. Second of all, he already missed one punch, and a guy like Delide doesn't throw more than like a 1-2, maybe a 1-2-3. So if you start rattling off punches after he misses that first punch, that would be a good thing to do. Stand in the pocket, which he did for most of the night. It's just I think Delide actually won a lot of those exchanges, but it was close. It was close. Like I said, I'm definitely not gonna argue with the decision because I had Vittori. But either way, you played that like it was a good win for Vittori. But either one of these guys, like they don't look like they can hang in the top 5. I mean, I love Vittori and everything, but I thought he would have had to be a little bit more dominant on his feet to show me he's ready for. Other than that, I mean, he's not going to beat a guy like Robert Whitaker if he fights like that. His stand up's not good enough. He can't take a guy like Whitaker down. He did try a few. They said he went to Thailand after that, after his loss there to Whitaker, and he learned how to kick more. And he did show a lot more kicking in this fight. So maybe we could give him the benefit of the doubt and just say like he had a lot of things to work on in this fight. Like the first round, he came out and threw a lot of kicks. So maybe that was the game plan: was work on this stuff, become a more complete fighter, try to surprise him. But the way I thought Vittori would win, I actually had Delide winning that fight. But good win for Vittori. It keeps him in the mix, and it was a win that he needed pretty bad because he would have fell pretty far with that loss. I mean, that's it for the main card. I'm trying to think. Let me see the. The Jack Shore fight. He had a big win. He came back and won. Marquand Americani definitely won that first round, and his wrestling looked good. It looked like Jack Shore was a little bit too small for that weight class. I forgot he came up in weight, and against a guy like Americani, like I know Americani's got a very good ground game. So with Jack Shore, who needs to get to the fight to the ground, I was kind of worried there for a second. I'm like, it doesn't look like he's gonna be able to get him down. But thank God Americani gassed, and Jack Shore came out second round flying after he lost that first round, and just pushed Marquand up against the fence multiple times with his hands alone. I didn't know Jack Shore that had that good of striking, but his hands looked actually. Maybe it just looked fast because he's in a different weight class, but his hands looked fast. He's always got the ground game to rely on. It's just I know Marquand Americani, I would say he's an above-average wrestler for this weight class, so we'll see how that plays out. But I think Jack Shore is going to struggle. I mean, if he can't get fights to the ground, I don't think he's going to win. Unless you can't count on fighters gassing on you. To be honest, that's the only reason he won that fight. As good as he looked, and he submitted him in the second round, I think, but it wasn't the greatest performance from him because, like I said, how much he struggled in that first round. That's more a testament of what's going to happen in the future, I believe. But Jack Shore did get the win. But yeah, everything else on here, there was a guy named Muhammad Makayev. He looked very good. He looks like a very good prospect. He did almost get finished toward the end of the third round. The dude had him in a knee bar, which was really bad. Fiallo, he had him in a knee bar really bad, and Makayev just didn't tap. And it looked like his knee was starting to bend the other way. And somehow he was in that position for a good 45 seconds, it must have been, maybe a minute. and somehow he was able to get his knee past the hip, I'm assuming, and slide it out. But even when he slid it out, his knee's kind of injured, you can tell. So it was just a matter of him not tapping. And that guy was a 9-1 favorite, so I just had him littered across parlays. But he looked very good. His striking looks very good. He's a very young kid. I mean, he looks like the truth, and I don't see a lot of good prospects that come out of the UK, but he's definitely one of them, and he definitely impressed me. Theron Murphy got a big win for himself, but yeah, that was pretty much it. Nothing else happened. Like I said, whoever that girl was on the first who was a 5-1 favorite stinks. That Miller girl, but other than that, like I said, the card wasn't that bad. The Vittori fight was really good, but the fight of the night was Gaethje versus Fiziev. And why wouldn't it be Gaethje? And I'm sure Gaethje will get another bonus for this. There's another 50 grand at least in his pocket. So very happy for him, and very happy for Leon Edwards. I mean, I'm one of his biggest haters just because of the last two fights. I just think it's a terrible style matchup. But I was one of the guys when guys like Jorge Masvidal got two title shots before Leon Edwards got one. I thought that was absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting that Masvidal keeps getting these big fights just because he's a big name and he sells tickets. And Dana White doesn't want to put him on an undercard because he doesn't want to pay him that money. It's just pathetic the way they handle stuff like that. And Jorge Masvidal does not deserve two title shots before that guy deserves one. Well, now he just won two title fights against Kamaru Usman, and what did Masvidal do against Usman? I mean, and now they got Masvidal fighting Burns, and I mean, dude, Burns versus Edwards. I mean, it's going to be the same fight. Like Edwards is going to have to deal with these wrestlers, but man, what he showed, I I lean towards that was more of Usman looking bad than Edwards looking that good. I can't imagine his takedown defense is that good. But we're gonna find out because if he has to fight Colby Covington and then maybe Gilbert Burns, we're definitely gonna find out because neither one of them will challenge him on the feet like frickin' Usman did. So we'll see what happens there. But like I said, it's a good card and all. But betting wise, man, we took it on the chin tonight, and we're gonna have to come back next week and see what we can do. You guys have a good night.